What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Chasing the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Chase Lacombe, and thanks for being here. If you haven't already, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the like button or the subscribe button to the channel. We're a brand new channel. It surely does help us out a whole bunch. We have a lot to get into today, and not a lot of it is good. It has been about a week or a week and a half since my last episode. I do apologize for my absence. We again are still getting this channel off the ground and this podcast. We're playing with all kinds of different hosting platforms and trying to really figure out which one is best. And there's been camera issues, and I've recorded other podcasts, so I probably do have the audio for a lot of the other podcasts coming, or for a lot of the other games that we've had in the pre-games, the post-game breakdowns, and we would have video issues, cameras would cut out, audio would cut out sometimes. The hosting platform would run we're just not getting what we wanted to out of it. So thank you for bearing with me and trying to really get this sorted out. I didn't want to just put out crap. Right. I was like, my whole goal, my whole goal here, or at least initially, is to build this channel up throughout the remainder of this season and then throughout the off season, so that by week 1, after we're done with OTAs, mini camp, training camp, rookie mini, did all of that preseason, that by week 1 of the regular season next year, I'm hoping to have 1,000 followers here. So that's my goal. So if you're here and you haven't subscribed, please do me a favor, just hit the subscribe button. That's my goal. Is this is the trial run until we are getting to week 1, 2026. And until then, I'm learning to grow and build this channel. I've done some other podcasts, not me personally, but I've run some other podcasts for other agencies and things like that. But I've had corporate funding, corporate equipment, and just basically a blank check. And it's a lot easier to do things whenever you have a blank check versus whenever you are just relying on the equipment that you have here that you believe is going to be best, and you're trying to make all of that work. So without really getting into the minutia of why I haven't been here for the last 2 weeks and discussing, the Denver and the first Bears game, it's just been platform issues, equipment issues, just all of the, it's almost like Jurassic Park. We have all of the issues of a major theme park and a major zoo, all of it for a major podcast and a major sports cast, and a video and audio and lighting and in the studio. And welcome to my drum studio. So we have everything happening in here at once. There are music rehearsals here in Nashville with a lot of Nashville's finest musicians that happen right here in this room where I'm sitting. So there's a lot that happens here. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. It almost seems like we've been putting it off for a long time, even just trying to get everything, sorted out together. Let's talk about the last 6-7 days. Now, I guess about 7 days that we've had with the Green Bay Packers. This is about worst case scenario as we could possibly imagine. 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. And it's not just that you lost, that we lost, the Packers lost. What we lost was far more costly than 2 games on the schedule of the seasons. Losing Micah Parsons, that was a huge blow. That was the biggest blow. We had already lost Tucker Kraft for the year. Devontae Wyatt, we'd already lost him. Now we just lost, we lost Christian Watson in that game. We didn't know the status of him. Thankfully, that was one of the rare golden rays of sunshine that we had into this. But losing Christian there and having that scare. Thankfully, he made it through this last game pretty much unscathed from what I think any of us could tell. So that's wonderful. However, from this last game against the Chicago Bears, we also learned that we just now lost our second tight end, John Fitzpatrick. He's gone for the year, torn Achilles. Guys, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that is tearing this team to pieces. I don't know why we suddenly seem to be snake bit on the injury list. That was it. When you say at the beginning of the year, what is your expectation going into the year? What are your hopefuls? What are you looking towards? What do you want out of this team? Every year, the number one thing out of my mouth is I want this team to finish the season as healthy as possible, right? If we lose, I would like to lose in the last play of the game on some Hail Mary or last-ditch effort from the opposing team. I would like to lose in that manner with all of our pieces out there, having kept them all year long and been able to work with them, see what they have, watch them develop, and watch them turn into the puzzle pieces and the players that they are. And it, for better or worse, right? You know, if they've regressed from the year before, okay, at least they were out there for 17 games and they had the opportunity to be put on the field and they had the opportunity to progress. They may have regressed, but at least they were there. I don't want to lose a game to the fact that we always say, well, what if we had all of our players out there? And maybe not just a game, but this season. This season seemed like Green Bay had everything lined up for it. This was the year of 27, right? This is the year of 27. Jordan Love did it. Aaron Rodgers did it at 27. Brett Favre did it at 27. They both won a Super Bowl at 27 years old. Jordan Love is 27 this year. This is, there were so many similarities between that year and this year, or those years and this year, that you just kind of hoped that history would repeat itself. And it seems like we're having to face down the exact same adversity that we had to face down in those very unscripted years that seemed just impossible to do. We lost the fourth and third to last game of the season in 2010. So the last 2 weeks that we had here in Green Bay, we lost those last 2 weeks, the same that we did this year, and still managed to come out with a Lombardi at the end of it. Green Bay can still, there is a path that Green Bay has to winning the NFC North. It's a small chance. Green Bay has to win out. I believe Chicago has to lose out. But at this point, I think most of us are starting to look towards getting the 7th seed and basically sneaking into the playoffs. I think that at this point, all we need, with now that we know the outcome of the Lions Steelers game, and Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers did Green Bay one last favor and got us a win, or got themselves a win. The Steelers got themselves a win against the Lions, but it gave us a 1 game up on on Detroit that we really, really, truly needed. And again, we only needed two things to happen in order to secure a playoff berth. And at least, at minimum, the seventh seed, right? So we needed Green Bay to win 2 games. We lost. So 0-1 there. And then Pittsburgh and Detroit, Pittsburgh comes through in a crazy, absolute crazy game. If you guys watched that game, I still don't know. I missed about the first half of the game, but I still don't know how that worked out, how it worked out. I've watched the replays several times, and it's offensive pass interference, I think times 2, that really kills it for Detroit. They shot themselves in the foot right there. They had everything in front of them in that moment. They were poised and ready to win that game. It shows in this division, in this conference, and in this league how razor thin a margin there is for wins and losses. Green Bay was within, 3 minutes, 2 minutes of winning this game. One of 20 things happens differently. Green Bay wins this game. No question. We don't see all of the issues that we see. We don't see all of the, the fails and Keyshawn Nixon. We don't see all of this happen in overtime. None of this happens in overtime. Green Bay just simply wins. But we don't really see that. At one point in this game, Green Bay had a 99.5% chance probability of winning this game at where we were at in the game. Green Bay had everything in front of them. They had it in their hands. And somehow, some way, found a way to piss away a 0.05% chance with 2 minutes left in the game. It's unfathomable. There was a lot to be proud of in this game, I believe. The way that Malik Willis battled for Green Bay in this game, I think that is something that is a huge takeaway. He's my player of the game, 100%. There are few players, and a lot of people had mistakes in this game. I believe Malik, and his only mistakes really came after we were in overtime. He wouldn't have had those mistakes if we had taken care of this during regulation time. So I'm not going to hold that against him. But Malik really, really battled for this team. He led Green Bay on the first touchdown drive that we had, got us points on the board. Man, he played a very clean brand of football. I think that Chicago was not ready, and they had not game planned for Malik being in this game. They were not ready for his running attack. Moving forward, that is something that Green Bay, and that is not Jordan Love's forte. That is not typically his game, is running the football like Malik Willis or a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. If he runs the same again, we can talk about that later. But there's a lot of these running quarterbacks. It would used to be RG3, Russell Wilson. These were people that you had to game plan because you knew at any moment they step up in the pocket. If they have a clear center of the field, they're running. They're running. They're not throwing them. They'll pump fake. But they're going to get 12 yards on a 3rd and 11. So your defense can hold them, and then all of a sudden they're going to take off running, and you have to game plan for those types of players. Malik Willis is one of those types of players. that you have to game plan against. And I don't think that Chicago game planned for Malik Willis in this game. I don't think that anybody would necessarily game plan for the backup for Jordan Love going down. That was a vicious hit that Jordan Love took. I don't know. It's still, I really haven't heard much update on where Jordan Love is in his concussion protocol. I know that he's going to have to go through protocol all week, but with Malik's shoulder injury, I know that we're having to look to Clifton. So I don't even remember his name. I legitimately don't even remember his name. I barely even heard his name whispered all season long. I had it written down. I don't have it in front of me. Can't remember his name. He may be the guy who's taking first team reps in practice all week until we get to Thursday and Friday. I don't know. And that could be Malik Willis that may get a day or two of reps. Could be Jordan Love that gets a day or two of reps, but Jordan would have to clear concussion protocol extremely quickly. I don't know how quickly he's going to get through that. That's a lot of work for Jordan to do, and that's a tall task to ask. I have heard rumblings that there's a really good chance, or really good, maybe at this point, let's say 50-50 at best, that Jordan actually does play in this game. I'm hearing good things in his protocol and his recovery, but until he clears certain hurdles at certain points throughout the first week of concussion protocol, he's not going to be allowed to get a helmet back and get out there and start taking team reps. Is he a part of the game plan as far as on paper in the locker room and in the classroom and talking with coaches? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure that he's doing everything that he can to be as prepared as he can, to be, ready for the game plan, to be able to execute this, if he's ready to go, if he gets cleared. I don't think it's going to come down to, is his arm ready? Is he been in the weight room enough? Is he, physically fit? This is late season football. Okay. Everybody is banged up. If you can go, you go. Everybody's playing hurt, but you can't play injured. Everybody's playing hurt. Everybody's hurt. Every single player on every single team right now is playing hurt. Everybody's banged up. They're bruised. They're sore. They're sore for 5-6 days before they play. And maybe 2 hours or an hour before the game, they're feeling their best. They're finally like, okay, I think I can get in there and really do that. And everybody's giving it their best, and everybody's trying to make a run if there's a chance for their team. Nobody fought this hard and stood by their teammates for this long to quit on their team. Nobody's quitting. But there is a difference of playing hurt and playing injured. And you can't put players out there who are injured. Green Bay right now is like Josh Jacobs has been playing hurt and maybe playing injured. Will he stop? Will he let a coach and let everybody take him off the field and put him on the sidelines and take that helmet out of his hands and not let him go in for even a handful of plays? I don't know. I think Josh Jacobs is the kind of player that he's not gonna let you have that helmet if he is medically cleared. And if he is medically cleared, and he will say, I'm healthy, I will play, I can play, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. I will get you that next first down. I will get you that 4.4 yards a carry, that 4.85 yards a carry. He's going to go out there and fight for every single inch. Now, he fought, and we all saw against Chicago last week. He had a rough stretch. Josh Jacobs had a rough stretch running the ball. Emmanuel Wilson and everybody else in company had actually a pretty good day running the ball. So I think that Green Bay can limit Josh to put him on a snap count. Put him out early, see how he does, maybe try and establish the run early, as Green Bay has done so well and so often in the last few weeks. Establish the run. It sets up the play action pass. But we don't know if we're going to have Jordan right now. So we don't even know what we can set up with Josh Jacobs running this. If Jordan can't go, is it better to go ahead and sit Josh Jacobs for a week? All we need is one more Green Bay win in the last 2 weeks. It can be this week, or it can be against Minnesota, or we need the Detroit Lions to lose one more. They have 2 games left. They just dropped one. Close game. I feel like that team is a little bit disheartened. I feel like the air really just got taken out from underneath them. I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now, the Lions schedule. I don't know who they go against next week. But whomever, I think that team is a little bit deflated right now, and they're vulnerable. So if either Green Bay can pick up one more win, and I think they need to. In the last 2 weeks, we cannot go 0-4 in the last 4 weeks and expect to pick up and just hope that the Lions lose one more game. We sneak in as a 7th seed, and we come into the playoffs hoping to make a 4-game run on the road as the 7th seed to a Super Bowl championship without Micah Parsons, without Jordan Love potentially. We have Christian Watson without. I mean, just all of our players. Fitzpatrick. Everybody, it just, man, we have lost so many. I don't even want to go down the list. It just hurts to try and remember. But coming up this week, we don't know the status of Lamar Jackson. I know he's had some different rib injuries, and I don't know what it was today that took him, or yesterday that took him out of the game. Or I didn't get to see the finality of that game as well. So I don't know if he returned at this time. So apologies for not having that info. But his status, and his injury is one to be concerned about. But it just goes without saying, it has been an absolute brutal week for the Green Bay Packers. I think a lot of our Super Bowl aspirations and playoff hopes have been all but dashed. This has hurt this team. It's hurt these players, their health, their longevity in prospect in the league, and all of the fan hopefulness that we all had watching Josh Jacobs just absolutely plow through the league and every quarterback. And we're all just wait until we get into wildcard round, the divisional round, the championship round. Let's go to a Super Bowl, on the sacks of Josh Jacobs and just that menace. We all would love to see, a final play of the game, a last-ditch effort for the Chicago Bears, something, and on the last play, all of a sudden, there's Josh, there he is, just coming up and absolutely just wrecking shop. And I think we would have all loved to have seen Micah Parsons, and I said Josh Jacobs. We would have all loved to have seen Micah Parsons wreck shop like that on quarterbacks on the last play of the game in an NFC Championship game to go to a Super Bowl and Micah Parsons just stand up there just victorious, and we see Tucker Kraft and and Devontae Wyatt and Elton Jenkins, Parsons and Love. And we would love to see a postseason with all of these players in it, Reed and Watson and everybody else who has managed to come back. We just never got to see all of the pieces of the puzzle put together. And I think that's extremely sad. And I think we as fans and this organization as a team were robbed. I think the league was robbed of watching something that Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have put together, a thing of beauty, really come to fruition, and you get to see it all in cadence together out on the field, working, in tandem off of one another. And I think that we were done a disservice due to injuries, here and there throughout the season to all of these players. And we never got to see this team really come to fruition. Does Green Bay still have a chance to make a Super Bowl run? They do. They do. Do they have a pathway to get there? Do they have the pieces still left on the roster? They do. They really do. They need a lot to break their way. They need a lot to swing their way. But there is a pathway. We do still have Josh Jacobs still running the football if he can get back healthy. Even if he takes a week off, even if Green Bay loses next week and we don't have Jordan Love out on the field and we have a third string quarterback. If we sit all of our players, we can still win in the last week of the season against Minnesota, and we can still be in the dance as a 7th seed. We have to go on the road, but we can get in that dance. We can still get in there, and then it's just win, baby, win. We can still get our players back this next week. Josh Jacobs, if he is healthy enough to still go and stubborn enough to still push on all of his coaches to still play, we could still see Josh Jacobs in there. We're going to need the entire rest of the company of running backs from Green Bay to really stand up and continue to get over 4 yards a carry. We're going to need to see the running game really, really be strong. We're going to need to see other players on defense like Xavier McKinney. We're going to need to really start to see some turnovers be generated by Green Bay. This is where Green Bay really can turn the tide. We have not been getting the turnovers. We have been losing the turnover battle. Now, we only had, one last week? Okay, not too big of a deal. Turnover on downs on the first drive. If we decide to kick the field goal there and just put points on the board early and at least hold Chicago to a field goal, at worst, they get a 4-point lead and they get a touchdown. So worst case scenario, they get a touchdown. We're down 4 with the ball. Second possession of the game. We decide to go for it on 4th down. I understand the aggressive mentality that Green Bay and Matt LaFleur has had recently for the play calling, especially on offense. I understand that. I think that was a good look. We got the advantageous read, and Matt LaFleur decided to pull the trigger on it. I know Jordan Love wanted to go for it. Everybody in the stands, for Green Bay, everybody for Green Bay was like, go for it. We were right there. I don't have the yard markers, but I believe this may have been on the 3-yard line, 2-yard line. Like we were right up there. We were under the 16-yard in 5 red zone trips and came away with 9 points, 3 field goals. If we had kicked a field goal on the first trip instead of a turnover on downs, which was Green Bay's first official turnover of the game, I think Green Bay wins this game right away. Kick the field goal, take the points. I understand wanting to go for it, but right then it is 0-0. You possess the ball first. Kick the field goal, go up 3-0. Your defense went out there, got a stop. Defense went out there and got the stop that it needed, gave you the ball back. You would have been up 3-0. But instead, it's still a tie ball game, 0-0. That would have been the difference. There were several differences in this game that we could have taken advantage of. This game could have been won in a myriad of 20 or so different plays. Onside kick recovery. I think one of that's just a horrible thing to talk about, and I don't want to go into special teams too much in this game. I don't have much in my notes other than we all watched what has happened, or what happened in this game, and what has been going on in Green Bay for not just this season, but for many years. This was our worst nightmares revisited for the 2014 NFC Championship game against Seattle Seahawks. And just to help you all lose a little extra sleep at night, if Green Bay doesn't get the 2nd seed or the 7th seed and Chicago is not the opposing player, but yet Green Bay makes it in, it is a potential that we will end up going on the road. Let's say Green Bay gets a couple of wins in the playoffs as a 7th seed. Seattle is going to make it in, and you know where the path to the playoff, or the path to the Super Bowl, is going to run through? The same place that it had to run through in 2014. If I can, I'm going to put it up on the screen. I took a screenshot the other day. I found it on my Facebook the other day, and it is a screenshot saying that it's got the date stamp of in December of 2014, that it looks like the path to the path to the Super Bowl will run through Seattle. And we all know how that game came away for Green Bay. We all know where we know all too well right now. We just saw it all over again. This is our worst nightmare revisited through special teams. Rich Bisaccia was right on the sideline, right in front of the failed onside kick. Or, I guess, successful for Chicago, or failed recovery for us. He was right there to see it. I don't know if he can continue to have a job in Green Bay. I think too much has happened for him to continue to get away with it. But I think there are too many people calling for change and calling for his head. And look, you've had what has he been here? 4 years, 5 years? Rich has. We've been, I think, the 27th best special teams in the league during this time. We've had several seasons to where literally our season has ended because of special teams blunders. It's been a trend. I believe that it also starts a little bit with Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur, and the way that the type of wide receiver and the type of physical body that they like to draft for a wide receiver, and the way that they like to play wideout is not. It is not advantageous for being a really good punt returner, kick returner on special teams. It's just not the same body type. Maybe if the league does go to an 18 game season and we go to a 19 week season, potentially we get a second bye. But hopefully, I would with that change, I would like to see the league open up potentially a couple of extra roster spots for each team so that more players could enter the league, through the draft, and some of these, free agents and other players that really would have an edge and an advantage and a real spot, on a team, and maybe a specialty role. And maybe that could be a stipulation is the, one of the new, maybe they open up 2 roster spots instead of a 53 man roster, you get 55. But the next 2 have to be specialty players, like they could only be special teams players, or something. I don't know. I'm not a I'm not a league official, and I'm not a GM certainly, and you're all welcome for that. But I do think that if they open up, or I do believe that we are going to more games, and if and when they do open up more games, I hope that they open up more roster spots for each of these teams across the league, because we are just seeing, with more games and more play and more on the line and faster players and harder hitters, we're seeing more and more and more injuries and season-ending injuries, ACLs, Achilles. We just saw Patrick Mahomes go out for the year, tear his ACL. See Micah Parsons tear his ACL. We have Jordan Love with a concussion. We don't know his status. Tucker Kraft out for the year. Devontae Wyatt. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on and on. A plethora of other superstars across the league for all these other teams out for the year with all of these different injuries. I feel like the league is not mandating, the turf fields that are, like get the fields in order to where it's mitigating, a lot of injuries that we're seeing on those types of fields, non-contact injuries to a lot of the knees and the soft tissues. I think the league could do a lot to mandate what type of turf and field that each team has in its stadium. And I believe it should mandate the ones that have the fewest injuries. And it's never the artificial turf. It's always the artificial turf that has the most injuries that we see for any team. And it's always to the star players. We've seen this on just too many players for too many years now. And it's hurting the league, to not have these players available for each of these teams, and to really be able to see what each team is capable of, rather than it just being a war of luck of attrition, across the league. It's like, who has their quarterback and one good receiver and a running back still left with a halfway decent O-line still available whenever you get to the postseason, and maybe you won a couple of enough games against bad enough opponents early in the year, you had a preferable enough schedule that you were able to make it to the postseason healthy enough, and that's how you won a Super Bowl. It's not because you were the best or won the games by the most amount of points or had the best players. It was just that you had enough players still left to go out there and actually put together, a sensible championship team. And I think that's what we're seeing from a lot of these teams, is just that the biggest challenge is being able to actually field a championship team at any one moment. And right now it's, can you field one late in the season? And the more games that we add, the harder that becomes for each team to be able to field the same championship team that they put out on the field week 1 that marched out there. And, we we saw Micah Parsons and everybody and Jordan Love trot out on the field in week 1. Well, some of them we know are not going to be here, along with Tucker Kraft, and basically probably 9 of your top 12 or 15 players are not here now for Green Bay. There's just not many left to really go out there and win you a Super Bowl this year. And even though we're going into Baltimore this week 3.5 point favorites, we'll see how that stands throughout the week, but that's an incredible margin. I'm actually frankly shocked that we're 3.5 point favorites in there. I don't know if that is post Jordan Love or what they see as the availability potentially that Jordan is able to come in here and play a game next week and finish out the season and make a postseason run with his team. And we don't have to worry about Clifford and Willis. Is it Clifford? Again, I don't even know the next guy up after Willis. I think it starts with the C. Forgive me. I'm sorry. It's just, he's not somebody that we've thankfully had to talk about. And I haven't really had to learn his name. And I didn't even make a note of his name here. But there's lots to say that could have turned this into a win for Green Bay in Chicago. There was a lot of little things that Green Bay should have been able to take care of. There were a few mistakes. The number one thing that I can think of is Green Bay has got to find a way to start generating turnovers. We have got to figure out a way to win the turnover battle. And moving forward into the postseason and these last few weeks, if Green Bay wants to have a punter's chance at making a run into the postseason in any kind of depth into that, past the wild card and past a one and done, come in, lose in the wild card and never even sniff a division around. If we want to make it into the division around and beyond and really be one of the last 4 remaining teams, Green Bay is really going to have to figure out a way to start taking the ball away. We have been allergic to the ball. Somehow the pigskin is diseased to Green Bay defenders and Xavier McKinney, and they have gotten their fingertips on the ball. The gloves that these players wear are like super glue. And if you've ever touched these gloves, it's amazing how a ball just doesn't hit your hand in the glove and just stick to it while you fall to the ground and not even try and catch it. They're truly, truly amazing. And these are people who are paid tens of millions of dollars a year and are young superstars who the one thing that they have done best in their life is catch a football. And it is like the football is diseased to Green Bay right now. We cannot come down with a pick to save our lives or generate any type of, positive turnovers, for ourselves. We're coughing up footballs in the red zone with Josh Jacobs. We're turning it over on down in the red zone. We're another turnover on down, a fumbled snap, onside kick recoveries. There's 4 or 5 turnovers in this last game. If Green Bay wants to have a chance at this, they're going to have to figure out a way to start winning the turnover battle. And it is going to have to start next week, right now, against Baltimore. The status of Lamar Jackson, I don't know. We're going to figure that out. That would be huge in this game if Lamar can't go. It would also be huge in this game if Jordan Love can't go. Both of those are going to play huge roles and talking points throughout the week, checking the injury report. But as it sits, Green Bay currently sits at the 7th seed. It's in Green Bay's hands. Win one more game, and we're in. We will clinch. If the Lions lose one more game, Green Bay can clinch. depending on what Chicago does the next 2 weeks, as well as more so with Chicago and Green Bay and less with Detroit. But with Chicago and Green Bay, if Green Bay were to win out these last 2 weeks against Baltimore and Minnesota, and Chicago were to drop their final 2 games, I believe that Green Bay still could pick up the 2nd seed. Now, we would be then facing likely the 7th seed Chicago Bears in Green Bay. But if we somehow find our way into the 7th seed facing a number 2 seeded Chicago Bears, then we march right back into Soldier Field. And to be honest with you, I feel pretty good about that game. I feel pretty good about Green Bay's chances, barring that we have a healthy, ready to go Josh Jacobs and a ready to go Jordan Love, and if Christian Watson and Jaden Reed, if we have basically the company of players that we have currently on our roster, if we can keep those players healthy throughout the rest of as far as Green Bay can go into this season and the postseason potentially, I feel really good about Green Bay's chances in winning any one of any of these games that we would come up against. Between Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, who else is in here? Already said any of these teams in here, I would feel very good about Green Bay's chances of winning, of going 1-1 in any of these games. Going 6-0 basically the rest of the way through, that's daunting. That's a very tall task with the way that with who we have left to play for us. I think it's possible, not probable. I think Green Bay just got a little bit too much snake bit in the injury department this year. I think it's good for this team that we're in the position that we are, that we not dug ourselves out of this hole, but we put ourselves into a position that we're able to, we're either 1 win away or 1 Lions loss away in the next 2 weeks from guaranteeing ourselves an extra game this season. Not every team gets a wild card game. So I'm going to be thankful for every one of those opportunities. And if Green Bay finds a way to win in that wild card game, then we're in a divisional game. And you hope that you can get as many of your players again back from injuries, and it's always going to be who's available, who could play, who do we have here ready to go. Do you win the divisional game? Then you find yourself 1 win away from a trip to the Super Bowl. Green Bay has been without a trip to the Super Bowl with a lot of, I think it's now 4 trips to the NFC Championship game. I think we've had 4 trips there and come up 0-4 in our last 4. Eventually, you'd think it would be Green Bay's time. I thought it was the last time. I was like, no way. If we went 0-3 in the NFC Championship game, no way we can go 0-4. This team finds a way to figure out in 1-4 games to win 1. If we can get another win or a Detroit loss, Green Bay will be in a wild card game. You make it through that, and that is a good chance that we face Chicago in that. I like Green Bay's chances of beating Chicago. I really, truly do. I think that even if we have to go on the road to Chicago, we were just there and Green Bay was in this game. If we can get Jordan Love back and keep Josh Jacobs and the rest of this team, I think that Matt LaFleur and the Packers had the right game plan to win. We were 2 minutes away from winning this game, and in all likelihood should have. This should have been an absolute easy win. Not easy win, but Green Bay was right on the. We had a 99.5% chance of winning that game, and found a way to let it go. I think Green Bay, healthy or healthier, you keep Jordan Love in there for 4 quarters, I think Green Bay wins this game. And if we have to come back in on the wild card round, even if we have to go into Chicago, I think Green Bay gets it done. I think we go into the divisional round. That may be against San Francisco. We could see what's going on with Carolina. I don't think we would face Seattle at that point if they're still in there. But regardless of who, I really believe that Green Bay would be favored again in the divisional matchup. Hopefully, Green Bay can do well enough in these last 2 games to get some home games. And that's really what we're fighting for in the last couple of weeks, is really getting some home games in the playoffs. Like, the playoffs are already started for Green Bay. Like, you can't just go 0-2 in the next 2 weeks after going 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. You can't go 0-4 in the last month of the season and be the hot team who's about to ready to make a run to the Super Bowl, coming off 4 straight losses. And now you got to go completely on the road to everybody else's house. You don't know who's healthy. Green Bay can't do that. You can't do that. No team can do that. And Green Bay definitely is not going to do that. We have to start winning football games now. Win the next 2. Hopefully Detroit and Chicago both start to begin to drop some games late in the season. Hopefully and I think Green Bay has a great chance of winning this against Baltimore, especially if we can get Jordan back in here. And Lamar Jackson would be, if he was out for this game, that's huge advantage for Green Bay. And I would expect to see that 3.5 point favor go, even further up to, 4.5 points or more spread in this game for Green Bay. I really think that Green Bay can cover this with Baltimore. And then, Minnesota already has nothing left to play for in the season. But if we all know anything about NFC North division matchups, if a team has nothing left to play for, that is the most dangerous team in the division. They're the ones, that's the wounded dog that you try and go help, that looks like it may be injured on the road and it wants to bite you just because it's afraid and it's scared and it's injured and it's hurt and it has nothing else left to lose except to just inflict injury anywhere that it can. And I think the Minnesota Vikings have that potential to just sneak up, and they would love nothing more than to just steal a last-second victory or playoff berth away from Green Bay. Anytime any team, the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, anytime any of these teams win or get one over on Green Bay, the others rejoice. It is something that you will always see. Just teams in the NFC North love to see Green Bay hurt and suffer and fall and fail. It's our curse because we've had 30 plus years of MVP quarterback play, and I get it. Every team would love to have that, and we've been blessed for it. And here we are again with a new Jordan Love, and we're looking to three-peat on the MVP quarterbacks, but we only have 2 Lombardis in the last 30 years to show for it. And right now, Green Bay currently does not know whether or not their third potential MVP, All-Star Hall of Fame quarterback, is going to be able to play on Saturday. So we have a lot to look forward to, a lot to look at this week moving forward. We have we have Baltimore and we have Minnesota. Win one of those 2, you're guaranteed a playoff spot. If Detroit can lose one of their two, even if Green Bay goes 0-2 the next two games, we're guaranteed a playoff spot. Get people back healthy. This team can go on the road. They can win if they have to on the road. This team could still get the 2 seed. Everything is in front of this team. Everything hinges on how healthy this team can be moving forward. This team has been snake bit this year. It doesn't look great. It looks extremely overwhelming, and I'm not saying that I fully believe this team can go on a Super Bowl run and sweep every team that Denver, New England, whoever we would face from the AFC. It's a very daunting task. One game at a time, getting players back healthy, getting them out on the field, and putting them in advantageous plays and positions to succeed is going to be paramount for Green Bay moving forward if they want to make a deep run in the playoffs. I believe that Matt LaFleur, Jeff Hafley, and company, that they can call enough plays in these games to win each one of them as they come up, no matter who we face and no matter whether it's a home game or an away game in their stadium. I think that Green Bay has what it needs right now, currently on the active roster, assuming everybody here stays here and we're not losing anymore. I believe that they can make a run. I believe that they can go all the way to win a Super Bowl. There's a lot that has to happen. Go right for us. The ball has got to bounce Green Bay's way. It has not bounced our way much of recent, and in a very big way, it is not. If I was betting, I would tend to say this is not Green Bay's year to bring home a Lombardi, but I think that it is not outside of the realm of possibility. And every week and every day, I look at this team and I see other players coming back around. I see players making plays in practice and games, and I see everything that gives me hope for this team. And I think that this team truly does have the ability and the personnel left that are not on season-ending injuries to go out there and bring home a Lombardi championship back to Titletown this year. I think it can be done. It was just almost as unlikely and counted out in 2010. And Green Bay found a way to do it. And we all, if you were there, if you remember that magic and that offseason run, again, we lost the fourth and third last to game of the season. So these two last games, we lost it. And in that year, the year that we won the Super Bowl, while we were hot. So, and it had to do with the plethora of injuries that Green Bay had to face. There was so much adversity. You just had to have things bounce your way. It bounced our way that year. It's been 15 years. It is time. It is time. Maybe this year, maybe not this year. I think looking forward to next year, keep everybody healthier. It's just got to be luck. A lot of it is just luck. But if we can avoid being as injury snake bit next year, I think, and you have a lot of these players, see who we get back. I know that there's a lot of players set to hit free agency and become unrestricted free agents. There's a lot of players that are here right now this year that are under contract that are likely not going to be, that we're not going to be able to afford. And there are other players that we're likely going to have to pay that you probably wish weren't here, that, probably got overpaid, like Banks, just without the production of it all. So everything is in Green Bay's hands currently right now. They hold their own destiny in their hands, but It's also in the hands of doctors and just the health of knees and body parts at this point of the season. We will look. We'll do a pregame show coming up before the Baltimore game at the end of this week. We have Christmas in between, so I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. We celebrate both here in our family, but however you and your family celebrate, I wish you the happiest of holidays and the safest as well. We'll be right back here again with a brand new episode as soon as we can, breaking down or looking ahead to the Baltimore Ravens game. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for just over an hour now. Hopefully the video has lasted, the audio has lasted, and everything will be a full entire episode for the first time here on this channel. And everything will probably be a little bit more concise, but we had a lot to break down in this game. It's been a little while since we've been here and able to talk, so I think we all had a lot to vent about, and I think we all needed some Packers therapy. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you're still here at this long in the video, please do me a favor, hit like on the video, but more importantly, please hit subscribe on the video. Thanks so much for being here. And we'll be back to break down the Baltimore Ravens and everything else Green Bay Packers moving forward. And as always, go Pack Go.